Welcome to English Podcast by Levels. Here you can improve your English with natural, clear, and useful conversations. This episode is for B1 to B2 learners. At this level, you will hear longer sentences, more detailed ideas, and more natural expressions. Listen carefully to the conversation. Notice how the speakers share opinions, explain their thoughts, and react to each other. You can listen first, then repeat useful sentences and use them in your own English. Now, let's start the conversation.
The 2026 World Cup has finally begun, and the excitement feels real now. Before the tournament started, everyone was guessing and talking, but now the matches are actually happening. Every day there is a new game, a new story, and a new reason to talk about football.
Exactly. It feels different when the World Cup is not just an idea anymore. Now we can see the teams on the pitch, hear the fans in the stadiums, and watch the emotions on the players' faces. The whole tournament feels alive.
I love that feeling. Even people who do not watch football every week are paying attention now. They ask about the scores, they talk about their national team, and they want to know which players are doing well.
That is the power of the World Cup. It brings people into the same conversation. At work, at school, at home, and online, people are talking about matches, goals, mistakes, and surprises. Football becomes part of daily life.
And this World Cup feels especially big because it is happening in 3 countries: the United States, Canada, and Mexico. That makes the atmosphere even more interesting. Different cities, different cultures, and different fans are all part of the same tournament.
Yes, and you can feel that international energy. The stadiums are full of color, the streets are full of fans, and every match has its own atmosphere. Some fans travel a long way just to support their country.
That is one of my favorite parts. Fans do not only watch the match, they bring songs, flags, traditions, and emotions with them. Sometimes the crowd becomes as important as the game itself.
True. When the camera shows fans singing together, celebrating together, or even looking nervous together, you understand that the World Cup is more than football. It is also about identity and belonging.
And now that the group stage is happening, everything feels more serious. Every point matters. A win can change the mood of a whole country, and a loss can create pressure very quickly.
That is why the World Cup is so dramatic. Teams do not have many chances. In club football, one bad game is not always a disaster. But here, one mistake can change the whole tournament.
I think the best thing about the World Cup right now is that nobody knows exactly what will happen next. Some big teams look strong, but smaller teams are also fighting with courage. That makes every match interesting.
I agree. Before a match starts, people may think they know the favorite. But after the first whistle, everything can change. A smaller team can defend well, score one goal, and suddenly the whole match becomes completely different.
That is why I like watching the early games. You start to understand which teams are confident, which teams are nervous, and which players are ready for the big stage. The first matches tell us a lot.
Yes, and some players are already becoming important. The World Cup can change a player's life very quickly. One great performance, one beautiful goal, or one important save can make people remember your name.
It must be an incredible feeling for the players. They are not only playing for their clubs or themselves. They are playing for millions of people who are watching from home, from cafes, from fan zones, and from stadiums.
That pressure must be huge. Imagine standing there during the national anthem, looking at the crowd and knowing that your country is watching you. It is a dream, but it is also a heavy responsibility.
The national anthem moments are very emotional. You can see some players closing their eyes, some fans crying, and some children singing with their parents. Those moments make the tournament feel human.
Exactly. And then the match starts, and the emotions change every few minutes. One team attacks, the other team defends. The fans shout, and everyone feels the tension. It is difficult to stay calm.
I know, even when I am watching a neutral match, I still feel nervous sometimes. If the game is close, I start choosing a side without even noticing it. That is how powerful the World Cup is.
Same here. A match does not need to include your country to be exciting. Sometimes you support the underdog. Sometimes you support a player you like. Sometimes you just want to see a beautiful game.
And after the match, the conversation continues. People discuss the referee, the tactics, the missed chances, and the best players. Social media becomes full of opinions in just a few minutes.
That is true. Some reactions are funny, some are too emotional, and some are very serious. But all of them show one thing: people care. The World Cup makes people feel something.
Now that the World Cup is going on, daily life feels a little different. People check the schedule before making plans. They ask, "What time is the match?" before they decide where to go.
Yes, and some people organize their whole day around football. They finish work quickly, meet friends, buy snacks, and find a good place to watch the game. A normal evening can suddenly become a World Cup evening.
Watching with friends makes it even better. You share the stress, the hope, and the celebration. When your team scores, you do not just celebrate the goal, you celebrate the moment together.
That is the beauty of it. The World Cup creates memories. Years later, people may not remember every detail of the match, but they remember where they watched it and who was sitting next to them.
I also like how the tournament teaches us about other countries. You watch a team because of football, but then you become curious about their culture, their fans, their music, their food, and their history.
That is a great point. Football opens the door, but the World Cup shows much more than football. It shows different languages, different traditions, and different ways of celebrating the same game.
And even if fans do not speak the same language, they can still understand each other. A goal celebration, a nervous smile, or a sad face after a loss does not need translation.
Exactly. That is why the World Cup feels global. It reminds us that people can be very different, but they can still share the same emotions. Joy, hope, fear, and disappointment are universal.
Right now, the tournament still feels open. Many teams still believe they can continue. Fans still dream. Coaches are making plans. Players are trying to prove themselves. And every group is changing, match by match.
That makes the group stage exciting. It is not only about winning one match. It is about building confidence, learning from mistakes, and staying alive in the tournament.
So, for me, the excitement of the 2026 World Cup is not only about who wins the trophy. It is about the stories we are watching every day.
I agree. The trophy is the final dream, but the magic is happening now. In every goal, every surprise, every fan celebration, and every conversation after the match.
And that is why this World Cup feels so special. It has begun, the world is watching, and every day brings a new football story.
Exactly. The tournament is already giving us drama, emotion, and memories. And the best part is, there is still so much more to come.
Another thing I notice is how quickly people become football experts during the World Cup. Suddenly, everyone talks about formations, substitutions, pressure, and team chemistry. Even people who do not usually watch football have strong opinions.
That is so true. One person watches one match and immediately says, the coach should change the midfield. It is funny, but it also shows how much the tournament pulls people in. Everyone wants to be part of the discussion.
And sometimes, those discussions are more exciting than the match itself. After a game, people argue about whether a team played well or just got lucky. They talk about missed chances, referee decisions, and what the coach should do next.
Yes, but I think that is part of the beauty of football. There is never only one opinion. Two people can watch the same match and understand it in completely different ways.
Exactly. One person may say, that team defended badly, while another person may say, no, the other team attacked really well. Football creates debate because it is emotional and tactical at the same time.
And the World Cup makes those debates bigger. When a national team plays, people do not only analyze football. They connect the match to pride, history, and identity. That makes every result feel more important.
That is why a simple group stage match can feel like a final. For the players, it is a chance to continue. For the fans, it is a chance to believe. For the country, it can become a shared memory.
I also think the first goal in a match changes everything. Before the goal, both teams may look careful. But after one team scores, the whole rhythm changes. One team becomes more confident, and the other team starts to take more risks.
Yes, and that is when the match becomes really interesting. You can see the pressure growing. Players make faster decisions, fans get louder, and every mistake feels dangerous.
That pressure is what makes the World Cup different from normal football. The players know that millions of people are watching, and they know that one moment can become history.
I think that is why we remember World Cup moments for such a long time. We may forget many normal matches, but we remember special goals, shocking results, and emotional celebrations.
Absolutely. The World Cup is like a collection of unforgettable moments. Every tournament gives us new stories, and this one is already starting to create its own.
I also enjoy watching how different teams express themselves. Some teams play with patience and control. Some teams play with speed and energy. Others defend deeply and wait for one perfect chance.
That is one of the best parts of international football. Every team brings a different style. Their football often reflects their culture, their history, and the kind of players they have.
Yes, and that makes the tournament more interesting for learners too. When we watch different teams, we are not only watching sport, we are also learning how different countries approach pressure, teamwork, and competition.
That is a good point. Some teams look very organized, almost like they move together as one person. Other teams depend more on creativity, emotion, and individual talent.
And sometimes the most exciting teams are not the most famous ones. A team with less pressure can play freely. They can surprise stronger teams because they have nothing to lose.
Exactly. Those teams can be dangerous. The bigger team may feel nervous because everyone expects them to win. But the smaller team can play with courage and enjoy the moment.
That is why I never want to ignore underdogs in the World Cup. They often bring the strongest emotions. When they score, you can feel the whole stadium react differently.
Yes, because people love a good underdog story. It reminds us that football is not always about money, fame, or big names. Sometimes it is about belief, teamwork, and timing.
And when an underdog team wins, the celebration feels special. The players run to the fans, the coach cannot hide his emotions, and people at home probably celebrate like they have won the whole tournament.
Those moments are powerful because they feel honest. You can see how much it means to everyone. It is not just a result on the screen, it is a dream becoming real.
This is also why the World Cup is perfect for conversations. There is always something to talk about: a surprising team, a young player, a beautiful goal, or a dramatic ending.
And every conversation leads to another one. You start by talking about one match. Then you talk about countries, players, travel, food, music, and memories. Football opens many doors.
Do you think the World Cup changes the mood of a country?
Definitely. When a national team plays well, people feel more positive. They smile more, they talk to strangers more easily, and they feel connected to something bigger than themselves.
I agree. Even if people have different lives, different jobs, and different opinions, they can come together for one match. For 90 minutes, they share the same hope.
That shared hope is very strong. It does not mean football solves every problem, of course, but it gives people a reason to feel united, even for a short time.
And when the team loses, the mood changes too. People feel disappointed, sometimes angry, and sometimes silent. But even that disappointment shows how much they care.
Yes, losing is part of the World Cup experience. Not every story can be happy. Some teams leave early, some fans cry, and some players blame themselves. But that sadness is also part of the drama.
That is true. Without sadness, the happiness would not feel so powerful. If winning were easy, it would not mean as much. The difficulty makes the celebration more beautiful.
Exactly. Every team wants the trophy, but only one team can win it. That is why every match feels like a step in a long, emotional journey.
Right now, I feel like the tournament is giving people something to follow every day. There is always a match to watch, a result to discuss, and a story to remember.
And the best thing is that the story is still being written. We do not know who will become the hero, who will surprise everyone, or which match will become legendary.
That mystery keeps the excitement alive. Every morning, fans wake up and wonder what will happen next. Maybe there will be a last-minute goal. Maybe a favorite team will struggle. Maybe a young player will become famous.
That is why I love this stage of the World Cup. Everything feels open. The tournament has begun, but the biggest moments may still be ahead of us.
So we keep watching, keep talking, and keep enjoying the journey.
Exactly, because the World Cup is not only about the final. It is about every conversation, every emotion, and every story along the way.
That's the end of this B1 to B2 English conversation. Great job listening. At this level, understanding natural conversations takes time, so don't worry if you did not understand every word. Listen again, focus on useful phrases, and try to repeat some sentences out loud. The more you listen, the more confident and fluent your English will become. Thank you for listening to English Podcast by Levels. See you in the next conversation.